On October 19, 2017, a fisherman off the coast of Pensacola, Florida reeled in something strange. Not a fish, a Ziploc bag. Inside it, a wallet sealed and perfectly dry. The ID card inside belonged to a man who was legally dead. A man who, just 2 days earlier, had appeared on national television. Evan Whitmore was supposed to have drowned 5 years ago. A quiet man from suburban Atlanta. Husband. Financial advisor. A man with no enemies. No debts. No drama. Until suddenly he vanished. His last known act was renting a small boat on Lake Lanier. He left no note. The storm came quickly. The boat washed ashore the next morning. Empty. A half-eaten sandwich on the seat. A phone with no outgoing calls. And a life jacket unused. There was no body. No witnesses. Only the assumption that Evan was pulled under and never resurfaced. The official cause of death. Accidental drowning. His wife, Camille, held a closed casket funeral. Family wept. Friends mourned. And the world moved on. But 5 years later, during a Kansas City Chiefs game broadcast live on national TV, the camera panned across the cheering crowd, and someone watching at home paused the screen. There, in section 114, row 22, seat 9, was a face. Smiling. Holding a beer. And unmistakably Evan Whitmore. Lydia Portman, a former co-worker of Evan's, took a screenshot and called police. She swore it was him. The same smile. The same mole beneath his left eye. Investigators dismissed it as coincidence, until the wallet surfaced. That Ziploc bag, discovered by a Florida fisherman, matched Evan's old wallet exactly. Inside, his ID, some cash, and a credit card that had never been canceled. It hadn't corroded. It hadn't degraded. It had been preserved, protected, planted. This wasn't just strange. It was calculated. The case was reopened. Authorities enhanced the footage from the football game and ran it through facial recognition software. The results came back. 97% match. The man was now living under the name Peter Hawthorne. No criminal record. No driver's license before 2012. No history before Evan died. Peter Hawthorne didn't exist until Evan Whitmore disappeared. He was found working at a hardware store outside Topeka, Kansas. Lived in a rented trailer. No digital footprint. Paid in cash. When questioned, he claimed he'd never heard of Atlanta. Never been there. Denied being Evan. Said he was born in Colorado. Raised in Idaho. But when pressed for details, he stumbled. Authorities obtained a DNA sample. It matched hair from Evan's old toothbrush. Camille confirmed the scar on his hand. The voice. The nervous habit of biting his lower lip. She said, without hesitation, "This is my husband." But Peter didn't flinch. Didn't admit it. Didn't blink. He said she was mistaken. He called it a bizarre coincidence. Then investigators uncovered the real motive. Evan had been under investigation for embezzlement. A former client had accused him of siphoning over $200,000. Internal memos from the Securities and Exchange Commission confirmed a subpoena was set to be issued. Just weeks after he vanished. He saw it coming, and he vanished before it could hit him. The storm on Lake Lanier gave him the perfect cover. The perfect story. No body, no proof, no charges. Just a ghost. And he didn't do it alone. 6 weeks before Evan disappeared, he was seen entering a storage facility in Atlanta with Julian, a former intelligence operative turned private identity broker. A man known for building new lives from scratch for the right price. Julian himself disappeared in 2011. Never seen again. And now his name was tied to Evan. Evan, who reemerged as Peter. A man who'd erased everything. Peter Evan was arrested. Charged with fraud. With faking his own death. With evading federal investigation. But he never confessed. Not once. Not even when faced with overwhelming proof. He was placed in protective custody pending trial. And then, he vanished again. May 2018. Transferred, allegedly, to a federal facility in Nebraska. But no official record of his arrival. A leaked memo suggested his file was sealed. Closed by executive order. Unauthorized access detected. His digital footprint erased a second time. It was as if he had disappeared again, this time with help from someone even higher. His wife, Camille, stopped answering media inquiries. She remarried, moved out of state. She told friends she doesn't talk about Evan. Ever. The federal government declined to comment. And then, in February of 2023, another sighting. A tourist in Marrakesh posted a blurry photo to Reddit. A man in dark glasses. The same scar on the knuckle. The same tilted smile. Facial recognition gave it an 89% match. Not enough for an arrest, but enough to raise eyebrows. If it is him, he's out there, watching. Some believe he's part of a larger ring. Others believe he worked for someone bigger, smarter, that his disappearance wasn't about avoiding charges. It was about escaping something else entirely. One thing is clear. Evan Whitmore died once. And got away with it. The only question now, will he do it again? Still in this part, we follow the trail across Morocco, Istanbul, and into the shadows of the dark web, where people are bought, sold, and erased. Don't forget to subscribe, because the next time you see a face you think you recognize, you just might be right, and they might not want to be found. Previously on True Crime News, a man named Evan Whitmore disappeared during a storm in 2012. Declared dead, mourned by family, buried in a coffin with no body. 5 years later, his face appeared on live television during an NFL game in Kansas City. The footage led to his capture. New identity, new town, new life. Peter Hawthorne, a man who technically did not exist before August of 2012. DNA confirmed it was him, but Evan never admitted it. And then, in 2018, he vanished again. Today, we follow the trail from Kansas to Morocco, to the encrypted back alleys of the internet where people disappear for a price. The FBI's internal logs marked Peter Hawthorne as in transport on May 19, 2018. Destination: a classified federal facility in Nebraska. The van never arrived. No login. No GPS. No explanation. When agents reviewed the surveillance tapes from the departure zone, the timestamp glitched. 12 full minutes missing. Never recovered. Just like Evan. The official story: high-level federal relocation. Unofficial sources called it something else. An inside job. He didn't escape prison. He was extracted by someone who wanted him gone. 2 months later, in July 2018, an intelligence leak from Interpol pinged an unusual passport entry at Casablanca airport in Morocco. The name was fake. The biometric data wasn't. It matched a redacted individual labeled Person of Interest Whitmore profile. Interpol never acted. The record disappeared 48 hours later. Deleted. Scrubbed. Just like before. Then, something unexpected. In late 2019, an anonymous user uploaded a cache of documents to a private subreddit focused on digital disappearances. It included a PDF. Title: The Lazarus File. Inside were names, faces, aliases, photos of Evan Whitmore. Dozens. All dated between 2013 and 2018. Different cities. Different countries. Istanbul. Dubrovnik. Valletta. Tangier. Always alone. Always looking over his shoulder. And always just out of reach. The uploader was never identified. The subreddit was deleted within days. All backups removed. But one user had downloaded the file. We spoke to him. He asked to be identified only as Marlon Gate. I quote, "He wasn't just hiding. He was being handled. Controlled. His new ID, his travel routes, they weren't random. Someone was placing him. Like a pawn. Like an asset." When asked why anyone would protect a fugitive financial advisor, Marlon Gate said one word: tradecraft. The deeper we dug, the stranger it got. A source inside Europol showed us a facial composite from a surveillance tape at a hotel in Istanbul. 2016. The man checks in. Name: David Lair. 3 days later, the hotel catches fire. The guest disappears. No body. No trace. The room was paid for in advance. In cash. The man? 91% match to Evan Whitmore. But there's more. Hotel security showed he was meeting someone. A woman, early 30s, identified later as Ava Durant. Known alias, Scarlett Briggs. A suspected document forger linked to 2 missing persons cases in Berlin and Madrid. She disappeared the same year. So did Evan. Again. In 2021, private intelligence firm Ronin Security published a declassified report. Topic: Identity laundering rings in North Africa. On page 7, a redacted name. Subject W. Embedded. Value high. Extraction priority. Denied. Status. Unknown. We cross-referenced known aliases tied to that report. One came up on a travel blog, posted by a Canadian couple backpacking through Fez. Photo caption: met a cool American at the Riyadh. Said he was an author. Logan Marks. Crazy stories. Disappeared before breakfast. That photo, 85% match. The scar on the left knuckle gave him away. So now we ask, what does a suburban financial advisor have that's worth this level of protection? Who's protecting him? And why? Some believe he wasn't just running from something. He was planted inside something. That Evan Whitmore wasn't just a man on the run, but a man in the middle of something far bigger. An operation. An experiment. A ghost asset created to test digital erasure. Burn the past. Rebuild the man. Deploy the result. Others say that's nonsense. That Evan was just a smart, scared fraudster who got lucky. Twice. Who played the system, beat the storm, dodged the charges, and slipped into the wind. But if that's true, why do federal agencies keep sealing his file? Why are whistleblowers being silenced? And why do sightings keep popping up across 3 continents? One final twist. In late 2023, a journalist in Lisbon mailed a package to our office. Inside, a disposable cell phone, preloaded with a single message. An audio recording, 32 seconds long. A man's voice, calm, measured, almost smug. Quote, "You're looking for someone who doesn't exist. That's the point. You can't catch a shadow. Stop following. Before you become part of the story." We ran the voice through old voicemail samples from Evan Whitmore's phone in 2011. 94% vocal match. We sent the tape to the FBI. It never came back. So where does that leave us? We have no arrest, no trial, no confession, only breadcrumbs, scars, faint images in foreign places, and the echo of a voice telling us to stop digging. But we won't, because people don't just disappear. Not without help, not without power, and not without reason. A new witness comes forward. A burner phone recovered in Tunisia reveals a call log connected to a U.S. embassy. And a high-level official breaks silence for the first time. We're getting closer to the truth, to the lie, to the man who faked his own death, and might do it again, because shadows don't hide forever. Previously on True Crime News, a suburban financial advisor, Evan Whitmore, disappears in 2012. Presumed dead, but 5 years later he's spotted on national television. Living under a new name, Peter Hawthorne. DNA confirms it's him. He's arrested. Then he vanishes again. Interpol sightings, a leaked document, and a chilling audio message. You can't catch a shadow. Now a forgotten phone is recovered in Tunisia. Inside it, calls, logs, contacts, and one number that changes everything. It begins with a man named Haroun Faris, local mechanic. Lives in Sidi Bou said, Tunisia. He buys a used phone from a street vendor. Just wants to get in touch with his cousin in Kairouan. But the phone won't activate. He opens the SIM tray, finds a tiny slip of paper taped inside. 2 words, written in English. If found, run. He turns it over to police, and then disappears. Tunisian authorities don't log the phone. It goes missing for 6 weeks. Until a whistleblower, codenamed Osprey, delivers it to a freelance cybersecurity analyst in Frankfurt. That analyst, who asks not to be named, extracts the metadata. 8 saved contacts, 6 of them traced to unregistered prepaid numbers across North Africa and Eastern Europe. But 2? One belongs to the U.S. Embassy in Rabat, Morocco. The other routes back to a private network node in Langley, Virginia. The phone logs show outgoing calls in short bursts. 15 seconds. 23. 14. Always between 2 o'clock and 4 a.m. Patterned. Encrypted. Professional. This wasn't a tourist. This was someone trained. Someone careful. Someone who knew they were being watched. Then comes the name. Buried in a text draft. Never sent. Addressed to M. Message. I told you I wouldn't play asset. I disappeared once. I'll do it again. No more messages. No more drops. Delete this. Signed, E.W. Evan Whitmore. Alive. Still resisting. Still running. But from whom? We confront the embassy. They deny any knowledge. They say no such phone calls exist. No contact with an Evan Whitmore. No alias Peter Hawthorne. They say it's all a coincidence. They say move on. But then, in March 2024, someone does the opposite. They come forward. Her name is Hannah Krauss, former communications tech at the U.S. consulate in Istanbul. She contacts us under strict anonymity. Says she handled encrypted comms traffic for non-official cover operatives. She says a name came up in 2015. Whitson E. Then again in 2017. Same frequency. Same identifier. She cross-checked the phonetic tag. Result? Evan Whitmore. She reported the duplicate. She was told, quote, "It's being handled." 3 weeks later, she was reassigned to Guam. Then fired. No pension. No warning. No recourse. In her own words, he wasn't just some guy on the run. He was either working for someone or being silenced by them. And I think he got too deep, saw too much, and they lost control. She provides us with a recording from an encrypted embassy channel. Static. Clicks. Then a voice. Whitson to Safehouse 9. Burn the ID. Drop point Tango. No exit. We run it through voice analysis. 90% match to Evan Whitmore. Timestamp. 2019. That's 1 year after he vanished a second time. Which brings us here, to the real question. Was Evan Whitmore running from the law? Or from the people he once worked for? Was he even Evan anymore? Or had he become the persona? The ghost they built him to be? And then one final twist. April 2025. A digital breach in a now-defunct U.S. defense contractor archive. Files released anonymously. Label, ShadowGrid Personnel Archive. Inside, a spreadsheet. Code names. Dates. Clearance levels. Line 427. Alias, Whitson. Status, burned. Location, redacted. Notes, asset compromised. Inactive. Monitor for resurfacing. Date closed, March 15, 2024. Exactly 3 weeks before this script was recorded. So where is he now? Dead? Hidden? Or watching us, watching him? Every photo, every name, every clue. Feels like bait, like a trail meant to be followed. But always ending nowhere. And maybe that's the point. Because you don't find a shadow by chasing it. You wait. You watch. You listen. And when it reappears, you don't ask where it came from. You ask why it came back. Coming soon in part 2. A black site in Malta is raided. A name is whispered in a war crimes tribunal. And a man with no face walks through an airport in Argentina. We're not done. Not even close. Because if Evan Whitmore is still alive, he may be the key to something far more dangerous than a fake death. He may be the key to a war no one knows we're already losing. Subscribe now, because the next time he surfaces, it might not be a coincidence. It might be a message, to be continued,